right, today we're going to talk about something very fun and very just the coolest thing in the world. I'm just kidding. We're talking about studio monitor stands, which might not seem like that interesting of a topic, but if you're making music, if you're recording or mixing or doing anything where you need to get an accurate understanding of what you're hearing or capturing, studio monitors are annoyingly important. So for some context, I spent 6 years working as an assistant engineer in a commercial studio, which basically means every single day I was doing a session with a different engineer and a different producer in a different room scenario, and I got to see everyone's own personal choice of how they like to work, what speakers they like to use, how they like to place them, whether they're on the meter bridge of the console or on stands behind the console. After I left that studio, I started growing my own home studio. And then I went through the journey of getting my first studio desk and then putting the speakers on the desk. Eventually, I wound up upgrading my studio desk, and I did a very big upgrade. I went from the output studio desk to this Danger Fox mastering style Genesis 24U. Now I have these sidecars. But what I loved about the design of this desk is it is a low profile design. It's not a big bulky desk where you have all this stuff up here in your face where your speakers should be. So I can take my speakers off of the desk, put them on stands, and all of the frequencies from the speakers is able to reach my ears without being blocked by something or being too high or resonating by sitting on the desk. I wanted to talk about how important that is and show you guys a couple of studio monitor stands. One, the speaker stands that I have been using over the last year and a half that are much more affordable. And then after that, I'm going to show you my brand new speaker stands that, in my opinion, are the absolute best, the GOATs of all studio speaker monitor stands, whatever, that you can get. And I've seen these, if you guys have watched the studio tours on the channel, you've seen these in a lot of studios. Any of the big time, more serious studios are using these stands, but depending on your budget and where you are in your journey of recording or building out your studio and investing in your stuff, it's going to vary. So we'll cover two different options here for you. So the first option is made by Ultimate Support. Now these stands are at a fixed height. The model is MS90 or MS36B. I'm using the 36s, which are 36 inches high, because that is when I'm sitting in my studio chair right smack dab at my ear height, and I think this is the most common height. The MS90s are going to be a lot higher, so unless you're at a standing desk or something and you want speakers to stay up there, I would go with the 36-inch stand. There's a few things that I love about these stands. First, the price is approachable. It's $320 for this pair of speaker stands. Now, I could show you some cheaper ones, but I'm not going to, because you shouldn't get the cheaper options. They're just not good. It's not a good investment. I would keep my speakers on my table before I put $200 at a pair of speaker stands that are not stable. I can't trust them with my speakers on them. They're ugly, all that stuff. I'm recommending these, the Ultimate Support MS36Bs. And they have a couple different finish options. I just got the black ones. I love that there's cable routing through the stands. There's actually two different cable lines through the center of the stand. One, you can do power, and one for audio. You can actually put a little separation between them, which is amazing. And then on the bottom, you have these two options for feet. They have like these metal pointed feet, which are very good at keeping the stand separated from the ground. They can be sharp, so if depending on the floor you have, you might not want to use the metal one. But they also have these like rubber guards that go over the metal part that you can lock in, and that are better at protecting the floor and also good at separating the vibrations from the stand to the floor. These stands are also very easy to put together. It's just a few different pieces. On the top plate of them, they also come with these removable rubber acoustic isolating little bars that you can put on there. I actually wound up taking those off, and I'm using these ISO Acoustics ISO 200 isolation stands, and they're actually designed, I think, to put on your desk to remove some of the resonance your speakers will build up when they're on the desk. I'm using them on top of the stands, one, because they're sturdy, but also because you can adjust them to have a little bit of a tilt, and because of the height of the speakers, where I want them and how I want them to be angled, I have them at the perfect height and I can angle them so that everything is hitting my ears exactly how I want them to be hitting them. So with that said, I will add, if you aren't ready to get some stands yet, these IsoAcoustics isolation stands are a great solution. Just putting that did make a huge difference when I was using my previous desk. Just separating the speaker from the desk a little bit, that did make a big difference. But each one of these steps made a difference. So it's just a matter of how many steps you want to take and how much of a difference you want to get, because each little thing makes a big difference. Now, these are both what I would call budget solutions, because this is not like crazy investments. If you're just getting into audio and you're like, wow, $300 for stands or $160 for those IsoAcoustics things, yeah, man, recording is expensive. Having a home studio and doing this as a business, it's expensive, and none of us start with all this stuff. This is all done in steps. So I hope you don't take this as me saying, get all of this stuff today, unless, of course, you're ready to and you want to. The IsoAcoustics are great if you're just using a desk, if you're ready to get the stands, but you don't want to spend over $300-400. Go with these ultimate support stands. Depending on what you want to do, you might even add these IsoAcoustics to them for your speaker setups. Now, the ultimate support stands say that they're rated for 75 pounds. I would trust that, right? But as an aside, I will tell you, I had some Focal Trio 11s, which are like 95-pound speakers, and I had them on these ultimate support stands. I think they're underselling how strong they are. Now, I'm not recommending you put 95-pound speakers on them if you get them. Don't come after me, but I did for a long time. So I definitely did. I'll say that. Next, I want to talk about these new stands that I just got. These are Sound Anchor ADJ2s. Now, these are, in my opinion, the highest quality studio monitor speaker stands that you can get. This particular model from them, the ADJ2s, I think are the most relevant to recording studios that are anything from a home studio that has bigger speakers or even like 8-inch speakers all the way up to professional commercial studios. So the ADJ2s are the model that I use here in my room, and here's some specs on them. The base is 17 inches wide by 23 inches. The platforms that hold the speakers are 12 inches by 16 inches, and you can get these speaker stands in either 44 inches high or 56 inches tall. So what's cool is the mount that holds the speaker can actually slide all the way up and down the side of the stand. So if you get a 56-inch high stand, you can really place the speaker anywhere within that height. Same with the 40. These are incredibly strong. It says that they can hold a max weight of 100 pounds, which is a very heavy speaker, but it can securely hold them, and you can actually position these stands multiple different ways and position the speakers on the stand in multiple different ways. For instance, my desk, where these speakers are, these are more like midfield sides, 3-way studio monitors. So I don't want these too close to me. They need to be reasonably spaced behind my desk. So for that, I have them positioned with the feet going out and not pointed towards the desk. And the flexibility with how you can mount the base stand or the platform that holds the speaker on it is incredible. I have had these ultimate support stands that I was using before, which is just a flat surface that you set the speaker on. And I used the IsoAcoustics to try to get the angle of the speaker right, because they were a little tall on those, so I had to kind of face them down. On these Sound Anchor stands, you can get the exact positioning that you need for your speakers and place them precisely how they need to be placed in basically any scenario. Now, the ADJ2s are not the only speaker stands that Sound Anchor makes. They make quite a few different styles of speaker stands. These were just the most relevant for my setup. Now, I will say right off the jump, they're expensive. The 44-inch versions, which are what I have, are $1,150 or $1,150. So not that cheap, and definitely more expensive than $300. But every different step of investing makes that much of a difference. in the gear that you have. And man, I have wanted these for so long, and I've done nearly 100 studio tours, and every time I see them in a studio, I always make sure to listen to the room before I leave, and it is just phenomenal. The stands nearly change the sound of the speaker. Like, you get to hear the speaker without anything interfering. It's so crazy. When I finally got these set up, it was unbelievable hearing my speakers that I've had for over a year in here, these Focal Trio 6s, because they like, I felt like I was getting to hear them for the first time. So these are insanely durable. They're super heavy duty. I believe they're made literally out of steel, but it's in like this powder coated black finish, so it looks just absolutely gorgeous. Extremely sturdy. I'm in a room where everything has a little bit of a bounce, and putting speakers up that are like, I think these are like 80, 85 pounds or something like that, it's scary. So having something that you can know is going to support your speakers that you literally need for everything you do, and is going to position them in a way so you can hear them like you've never heard them before. So I'm super happy with this. If you're on the fence, you know, if it's in your ballpark and you're just kind of wondering, you know, is it worth it? The answer is yes. They are 100% worth it. And depending on the speakers that you're using, the ADJ2s or the ADJ1, they have a few different models. So check out the different models that they have. Great job, Sound Anchor. Very, very impressed. I knew I wouldn't be disappointed. I've also seen some very unique stands. Like, they did custom stands for Warm Audio in their studio that literally is an automatic raising situation where there's a button under the console, and you press the button and the Sound Anchor stands literally rise up with the near field monitors on them. And then when you want to listen to the mains built-in soffit speakers, you press the button down and they just go down completely out of the way. So cool. But if you're just looking to get your speakers off your desk and you want to save a little bit of money, the Ultimate supports are great. The ISO acoustic isolators are fantastic. I have links to all of these down in the description if you guys want to go and check them out yourselves. They're affiliate links, so it's a great way to support the channel. Liking, subscribing to the channel helps. I just released a drum pack if you guys want to check that out. And it's a drum sample pack, samples, one-shots, and loops. Super excited about that. That's on my website. This video is not sponsored by Sound Anchors or Ultimate Sport or any of that. It is sponsored by Sweetwater. If you guys are looking to get any of the stuff, you can get it with my affiliate links down in the description. And I thought, since we're talking about investing and things that make a big difference in build quality and versatility in that with Sound Anchors, I thought we should shout out this microphone. This is a company called Soyuz, and they make this microphone. Now, this is easily one of my favorite microphones that I have, and I've got a lot of mics. This is a large diaphragm FET condenser. It is the 017 from Soyuz. The build quality on this is unreal. It is extremely heavy. It is extremely sturdy. Even with this lollipop style cardioid capsule, it is insanely strong. Outside of the build and like the case and the way that they deliver it, everything was just top notch. But the sound of it blew my mind. Now, I have a video where we use this on a song, and it's exclusively what we use. We used it on vocals and acoustic. I had just been using it on drums because it sounds like a phenomenal on drums, either as a drum room mic, on drum overheads, on kick drum. It can handle a lot, and I said, let's try it on acoustic. It sounded absolutely amazing. If you're in the market for high-end stuff and you're looking to invest in a mic that can just really do it all, this is a $2,200 FET large diaphragm condenser. It is worth it. It is definitely my favorite microphone that I have. As I said, it's cardioid, large diaphragm, FET condenser, so flip fan and power on, good to go. I'll put a link to this down in the description. These guys are great, make really great stuff. They have a few other mics that are awesome as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what are your favorite speaker stands, what you're using now. If you have any questions, I will talk to you down there. Okay, see you guys in the next one.